What's up guys, Alex from FIFA Scouting Tips here, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of Pompey Youth Stars. We are now at the start of the season in the Premier League. We've got 10 days left of the transfer window. I'm trying to sell a couple of players, or not sell them, loan them out, sorry, Vitanen and Nichols. Hopefully they'll get a bit more experience out on loan. I've also brought in a couple of players as well. I'll just show you them now. So we have this guy here, Philip Jayamera, 19 years old and 71 overall. Defensive midfielder, trying to help get a bit more solidity in the middle of midfield against all those Premier League teams. Hopefully he'll help. As you can see, he's got some pretty decent stats in there. His physical stats are really good as well. Then we've also brought in this guy from the free agents, Francesco Verre, rated 68. Some more good stats there as well, and he's 19 years old. Despite it says 70 overall there, he's actually rated 68. We sold a couple of players to Barcelona and to Blackburn Rovers, and we've also brought in this guy, De Silva, on loan, because we haven't got any pacey fullbacks. Apart from the original ones at Portsmouth, but they're not really very good, so I want to get a couple of youth ones. We are also in negotiations with Stuttgart over buying this guy here, Tim Zimmerman, 20 years old, looks fairly decent, so hopefully that'll go well. So let's get on with some transfers and see if we can bring in those players and get our players out on loan as well. Right, so we have a few things here, 2 scouting updates, and also our offer for Zimmerman to Stuttgart has been accepted, so we'll get to that in a minute. First up, we have the scouting report from Lee in Scotland, and we have Charlie Gallagher, 56 to 76 potential, definitely turning that player down. Daniel Gallagher, look at that, 73 to 94. We're looking for wingers as well, and it looks like acceleration and sprint speed are his top stats, so he's probably a right or left winger. So with potential like that, we will definitely sign him up. He looks very good. Oh my god, this guy's even better. Fraser Layden, 78 to 94 potential. Looks like he's going to be a defender, probably physically strong. So he looks amazing. We'll definitely sign him up. And then we have Lee Ridgers, 60 to 80 potential. Not really good enough, so we'll reject him. So that's a couple of fantastic players. Now we have Demidov in Germany. We have Axel Giefer, 67 to 89. Almost certainly not going to sign him, but I will give him one more month just to see where his potential goes, because it could end up in the high 70s or maybe even early 80s if we're lucky. So I'll stick around and look at him for one more month. Then Johannes Washausen, 56 to 74 potential, will turn him down. And Philip Fike, some strange names in this report, 60 to 82 potential, again turn him down. So Axel Giefer, we'll look at him for one more month, see how he turns out after that. So we now have this message saying that our offer of £1.5 million to Tim Zimmerman has been accepted. Just got to offer him a contract. So as you can see, my wage budget needs to be adjusted to afford his wages, so I'll go and do that and sort out his contract offer in a second. So I've just adjusted the transfer budget, so we've got a bit more money, so we can afford his wages now. So he wants £6,000 and a 4-year contract. Definitely offer that. I think I'll just leave it at that, just see if he accepts that. Hopefully he will. He's only a squad rotation player at Stuttgart, so hopefully he might be a bit tempted to join us. Yeah, we'll send that off and see if he accepts. Okay, Tim Zimmerman has declined that contract. It was just 6,000 with 4 years, so I'll bump that up to 5, and I'll up his wages. Put those up to 7,000. I don't want to offer anything on the clean sheet bonus, just because it could end up stretching my budget a little thin. If I end up spending all my wage budget and then having a bonus on top as well, it might cause problems. So we'll leave it at that, £7,000 with a 5-year contract, and let's see if he accepts that one for us. Right, great news, he has accepted that contract offer. It didn't take much to convince him to join, so we will accept him now, and let's go look at him in the squad status screen. Okay, here he is, rated 69, some fantastic pace stats, 86 sprint speed and 83 acceleration. That's exactly what we're looking for, someone with a bit of pace at fullback, because Knight and Osborne, they're meant to be centre-backs, they're just not quick enough. So they can be played as centre-backs, and we can get this guy on at right-back. Also got decent stand tackle as well, 75. So hopefully he's going to be a really useful player for us, and we've managed to sign him permanently for just £1.5 million. So that's a pretty good deal, I think, and he looks like a really decent player. Okay, up next we have Manchester United. We made a really good start to the season, winning our first 2 games against Premier League opposition, but this is going to be such a tough game. Probably going to get absolutely hammered, I'm going to be honest. But let's get into it and see what kind of result we can get from it. We set up with a 5-4-1 formation to try and frustrate Man United because they were the superior opposition, and it seemed to work really well. They just could not get through our ranks. Every time they did, they were frustrated by our defence, and it paid off. Ajay Boateng lifting the ball over the top, a mistake from the defender, and we know what happens next. Bong smashes it into the goal, and we were 1-0 up against the run of play. Man United were dominating us, but we were just soaking up their attacks, quite happy to do that, and then try and hit them on the counter-attack. Bong now with 4 goals in the Premier League already. What a fantastic start he's made to the season. Man United then stepped up a gear, Rooney with a shot that just crept wide, but it wasn't to be, and we just kept on our attacks on the counter if we could. Ajay Boateng through on goal, unfortunately just offside, but that was pretty close. So we're having opportunities too, but Man United were really just limited to that kind of shot. They couldn't get into the box, they couldn't break us down, and we came in at halftime, just 39% possession. Man United were all over us with those attacks, and we were just sitting back, letting them come at us and then tackling them or intercepting their passes. They could not get through our organised ranks, and so I was very happy to come in at 1-0 up. Very unexpected result against such a strong opposition, and so this was good at halftime. We came up first in the second half. Jayamera threw on goal, but a really weak shot that just stumbled wide basically. Very disappointing. Luckily Man United were just as bad at shooting as we were, dragging that one well wide. They tried again shortly after, but again couldn't get it on target. A good block that time from our defender. Their best opportunity really of the game, as they lofted the ball in and headed it a fraction wide with Doherty rooted to the spot. But then this happened. We got a penalty, and at first glance I thought that was a pretty good tackle. Looked like a bad call from the ref. Watched it again, and look at that. Came off of Ajay Boateng's ankle, and then he got taken down. So it was actually a really good decision. Bong stepped up and smashed it into the top corner. And this was right at the end of the game in the 90th minute, and we were 2-0 up, and that was literally all there was time for really. We really took our chances well. We just absorbed all of those attacks from Man United and then came and hit them on the break when we could. And it was a tactic that really seemed to work. We had a little bit more possession, but we were still dominated in that regard. But I was very happy to let Man United come at me because I knew they were not going to have any good attacks. They had 5 shots but couldn't get a single one on target because they were limited to just shooting from outside the box. That's as far as they could get. We had some decent performances from Doherty, 7.4. Ajay Boateng was very impressive on the wing with 7.7. But of course, as usual, the main man was Bong. 8.5 rating, 2 goals against Manchester United. He's made a superb start to life in the Premier League. He's fitted in so well, and it wasn't even a bad team that we were playing against. It's not like they put out a second string side. They had Di Maria, Pastore, Van Persie, Rooney, Mata, all of these big names in their team, so they put out a really strong side. It was only really Lindegaard in goal who could be a second-rate player, and to be fair, that's probably because they've sold De Gea. We know what FIFA is like, they sell big players all the time, so that was really their only weak player. And so it was a very respectable result, and I'm really happy that we managed to get that 2-0 win against such a good team. Okay, next up we have Carlisle in the Capital One Cup. I'm just going to sim this game because it's a cup game and they're fairly low level opposition. I've swapped the team on quite a lot, put in some rotation players. Hopefully we can get a good result against Carlisle though. And yeah, 1-0, Garassi gets the goal. So we move on in the Capital One Cup. And then didn't manage to do any more deals, and the transfer window came to a close. Right now the transfer window is closed, we can have a look at how our players are growing. So we have Doherty on 77+1. Goalkeeper stats finally starting to grow this season, really nice to see that. Then Brown on 69, he's grown 1 point. We have Liam Osborne at 64. Then Tim Zimmerman, he hasn't grown a point yet, but his stats are going up, which is really good to see. Hopefully he'll start growing in overall points soon as well. Danny Corrie is up to 66. Made a really good start to the season. He's our physically strong centre-back with really good jumping and strength, so he looks very useful indeed. Then we have Bovaga on 67. And Angelo De Silva, who of course we have on loan, he has now gone up a point as well to 67. Then Brad Knight on 64 and Tasaka on 63. Then Jayamera, who we have on loan, on 71. His stats are growing nicely as well. Then Very, as I said would happen, he has gone down a point, but as you can see, his stats are actually going up. So he's not getting worse, it's just that his overall is being corrected to what it should actually show. Rather than 70, it should be showing 69. And so that is how it's corrected itself. So he is actually growing if you look at his stats, which is good. Then we have Keaton Nichols, who's gone up a point now to 61. Then Ryan Green, our 6'7" monster in midfield, up to 62. Then Ajay Boateng on 71, played really well the last couple of games, and he's getting his reward there with that growth. Then we have Penda up to 73, looking really excellent now. Quintin is on 71 plus 1 point. And Frederick Mathis hasn't grown yet, still on 62. Then we have Shuttleworth Vitanen on 60 as well, he hasn't grown either. Then Kelvin Bong, who has grown, he's now on 74. If we have a look at his stats, he scored 5 goals in 3 games, all in the Premier League. That's a superb stat to have. So he's now on 74. Then Bennett has also grown, he's on 70, so he's a really good backup striker for Bong. Then Lodigan up to 68, he's grown as well. Then Michael Coyne, we haven't actually used him yet, but he's our new striker, and he is on 65, looking very decent. Then Garassi on 67. Alex Winter, now a real player, he's grown though, he's on 69. We have 1 or 2 more real players before we get to Paulet on 77. 98 ball control, I've just noticed that's gone up, that is crazy, so he is so good now. Butler, a real player, and a couple more. And then we get to Matsuhara Paulo Daniel, who is out on loan, he is on 65. Then Paddy Malloy grown to 61. Curtis Simpson on 55. Remember, he is our player who we promoted before the May update to see how well he would grow, to see if his physical stats will grow, and as you can see, they are growing. He is pretty poor in terms of his overall, but he is getting there. Hopefully he'll turn into a very good, well-rounded player with good physical stats as well. Then we have Andrew Robson on loan, grown a point to 65, and Joe Hayes hasn't grown yet, he is on 58. Then James Smith also hasn't grown, he's on 61. So that is our team and how they are growing at the start of the next month. Just noticed this news story, the player of the month has been Bong. For his amazing month, he scored 5 goals in 3 games. That deserves player of the month. What an amazing player he's been, and hopefully that's going to continue for a bit longer. Okay, up next we have this game against Spurs in the league. It's another tough game after that game in the league against Man United. The fixtures aren't getting any easier, but let's see if we can get a decent result, because we did well against Man United. Let's see if we can keep that going. This was a very different game to the Man United one. Spurs came right out. The game had barely started when they had their first opportunity, heading it over from a free kick. We did have a chance of our own though shortly afterwards. Wallace hurdling one challenge, beating a defender, then playing it through to Bong, who just placed it into the bottom corner. I absolutely love seeing goals like that, where it's not power, it's just placement into the bottom corner. Keeper stood no chance, he just had to watch it roll in there into the bottom corner. And we are 1-0 up. That brought Bong to 6 goals for the season so far. Superb start he's made. But then Spurs got back into the game, shot from distance, and the half was basically all theirs. I came in at halftime with just 40% possession. They had 4 shots already, and I was just finding it so hard to just retain possession. Spurs were all over me. It wasn't like in the previous game where Man United would come forward and I just absorbed all their attacks and was easily dealing with them. This time it was a real struggle. Spurs were doing a lot of quick passing, I couldn't get near them. Luckily for me, they were not posing much of a threat in terms of their shots, but it was feeling a bit worrying. We almost got through straight away in the second half, but they shut me out, and that was basically it. A good shot there, but a good block from Bovager to knock it wide. Almost an identical thing shortly afterwards, but a good save from Doherty to keep them out, and he was my star man all game. But then he stopped that one as well. He was just a brick wall in goal, and if it wasn't for him, I would be losing by this point. Now just look at Bovager there in the top corner. He is down on the floor. He fell awkwardly and ended up getting injured. And then shortly afterwards, the same happened to Ajay Boateng, pulled up after a shot, and I had 2 players injured that I had to bring off. Luckily for me, I managed to hold on and get a totally unexpected 1-0 win. But like I said, this game was completely different to the Man United game. Spurs were so much better. They were so organised in defence. I couldn't get through them. They had 8 shots. Only 4 of them, luckily for me, ended up being on target. And when they did get them on target, I had my man mountain, Doherty in goal, who just was unbeatable, keeping all of their shots out. But it was so hard to break them down. Bong barely got a chance. I only had 1 shot all game. Luckily for me, it went in. But I was feeling very lucky to get that 1-0 win. Unlike against Man United, where I felt like I played really well and deserved to win, this time it was very lucky. But it does just show if you've got a good goalkeeper and a good striker, you can get a good result. And if we look at the ratings there, Doherty got an 8.8. That was a superb game for him. Wallace got a 7.3, but other than that, we didn't have any star performers. Even Bong only got a 6.8 because he was just completely shut out of the game by Spurs' defence. They were so well organised and just couldn't be beaten. But Doherty says here he got 11 saves. What a superb game that was for him. And it just goes to show that we cannot afford to lose him. We really don't want to sell him, because if we've got any chance of staying up, we need to keep him. Okay, after that game, we have this message about Bovager he is out for 3 weeks with a sprained knee. That's pretty frustrating because he was developing nicely, so he'll be out for a few weeks. Luckily there was nothing about Ajay Boateng. He did pull up when he had that shot, but nothing has come of that. There's no injury apparently, so I'm really happy about that. So it means we've only got one player out and he's not out for too long either, so that's not too bad. Okay, just going to show you guys who we've got in the Youth Academy and how they're doing. So we have Charlie Essen with 74 to 82 potential. His player type is a winger, but he is a striker, so it'll be interesting to see how he comes out. Then we have Daniel Gallagher, 77 to 94 potential, looks fantastic. Probably going to be a right winger. He is going to be really superb, I think. Then we have Esteban Navarro, who is a right winger, 78 to 86 potential, again really high potential. That's great to see. Then Fernando Monzon, defensive-minded left-back, 71 to 75 potential. Probably end up getting rid of him, to be honest. Doesn't look great. We've already got a fair few fullbacks and defensive-minded fullbacks at that, and his potential isn't that high, so he'll probably end up going. Then we have Fraser Layden, 81 to 94 potential. That is incredible. He's going to be so good. Physically strong centre-back by the look of it. Looks amazing. Then Juan Torres, 72 to 88 defensive-minded right-back. Again, defensive-minded fullback isn't great, but he's got pretty high potential, so I may keep him on just because of that potential and he might improve. Then finally we have Martin de Witt, 73 to 79 playmaker in central midfield. So that is how our Youth Academy is doing this month. So up next we have this game against Arsenal, but I have run out of time, so that'll have to wait for next time. Again, these difficult matches just keep on coming. It's really difficult in the Premier League, but we seem to be getting some good results, so hopefully we're going to keep that going. You may know that the E3 is happening on the 15th of June. EA have their conference on that day. They're going to be announcing some gameplay for FIFA 16, they've told us. So I will be live tweeting that. Just head over to @FIFA Scouting on Twitter. I'll be live tweeting that as it happens, as all the news comes out. So make sure you go and look at that to get all the news straight away as it happens. Don't forget also that the Scouting God contest this month is on best 16 and 17-year-old players. Any position at all, any position you like, as long as they are either 16 or 17. So take a picture of your best player, when they are either in the academy or just after they've been promoted, so we can see what their stats are like. Make sure there's been no stat growth if you can help it, just to keep it fair for everyone. You can send that picture to @FIFA Scouting on Twitter using the hashtag ScoutingGod, or you can send it to Facebook at facebook.com/FIFA Scouting Tips. We can leave a link in the comments below, or you can submit it on FIFAScoutingTips.com. Several ways of doing that. That ends at the end of the month, so you've got a bit of time left, but we have had some fantastic submissions so far, some really amazing players, so you're going to need to find some good players if you want to win that. So like I said, that ends at the end of the month, so you've got a bit of time for that. Keep all your suggestions coming, anything you want me to do over the summer, any new series, any different game types, also feedback for Pompey Youth Stars. If there are any players that you think need to go, any players in my Youth Academy that I should promote, all that kind of stuff, keep all that coming. Make sure you also leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. But I've been having bad luck with the impact engine all game, and look at that. Nice little pirouette from Wallace there.